Actually, it's out as of yesterday. Scars and Stripes. Wow. Tim Kennedy is here and he's wearing a freaking suit. This is incredible.
Isn't this what you do in New York City? I don't know.
Tim.
How are you doing, man? You look so good.
Oh, look at you. Wow.
Things
I've never
good?
been hugged by a stronger man.
You look
Things are
great.
You look great. Look at you. I don't even recognize you.
Well,
Tim, welcome. This feels like a bit of a penthouse to the outhouse for you. You've been on all these major shows, and now you come to this little rinky-dink operation.
This might be the highlight of the day, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty pumped.
Listen, I saw you coming in Fox and Friends yesterday on a freaking. Was that live or
That was real.
That was real.
Yeah, although we did have, like all things in my life, some friction with government, where I asked if I could free fall in, like skydive out of a helicopter or a plane. They said no.
Okay.
I was like, all right, we'll compromise. I'll take the helicopter and I'll fast rope or I'll rappel in. They're like, so no. So I was like, okay, just hear me out. Let me work through with this for a second. Can you take the helicopter? I'll hang from the skids, like doing pull-ups or bar-ups or something, and then the land, I'll just step off, hop on my motorcycle and ride in. Like, also no. I was like, well, this is so boring.
Yes.
Can we do this interview in Texas? So like, no, Fox is in New York. It's like, all right. So we ultimately did not come to a compromise. They just made me do what they said I was allowed to do.
Which was?
Fly in on a helicopter on the city, hop onto an 1190 Buell motorcycle, and then ride in.
Still pretty damn cool.
It's pretty cool. That motorcycle was legit.
Yeah, and how long did it take? Because you said there was bad traffic.
So I was on a super bike.
Okay.
And
helmet or no helmet?
So in New York.
You have to.
You have to
Why,
wear
you wouldn't wear a helmet? Why?
Why would I want to?
No, why would you not want to?
To feel that my locks blowing freely in the
Someone hits
breeze.
you. It's a bad taxi
Well,
driver.
I'm on a motorcycle.
I
like
know,
you can
but-
be like, you know?
I guess.
I got bob and weave in the ring, but I can't
So
bob and weave out of traffic.
That's fair.
Now I got hit a lot. That's not a great example.
Right.
Look at this face.
You look fantastic, though. Your hair. By the way, I didn't realize you're quite the social media influencer. Who's
Is
doing
that a
all of
thing?
this? You're doing
I'm doing it.
TikTok.
Yeah,
all you.
Yeah, I'll pull this thing out right now. You want
It's all you.
Yeah.
The videos.
All of it.
You're better than me. I mean, you're better.
That's not true.
And I'm not saying that I'm like
I'll
some
not
sort
allow
of.
you to disparage
No,
yourself
listen.
in front of me.
Your stuff is really great. It's entertaining. It's fun. I don't believe that there's not someone else behind all of this.
There's nobody else.
You don't have a person.
No person. Hey, live on the show right now. Where do they find us?
MMA fighting YouTube channel. Check it out live right now.
Right now. Follow it. Dude, it's done.
Thank you. Wow. All right, so there's a lot to talk to you about. I'm very, very excited about this. Was super pumped when they told us you were coming in. The book, let's start there.
Okay.
Scars and Stripes.
Yeah.
Came out yesterday. Last I checked, it was in the top 10.
Yeah.
Where are we at now?
We're number 3.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Jordan Peterson. Not Jordan Peterson.
The Canadian guy?
No, not. I would not mind losing to him. I like him.
Yeah.
No, Patterson. He's like a fiction author.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, but he like writes really good books, but I don't want to lose to him.
yeah, but you're in a category with. This is just overall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big book.
So are you maybe surprised by this? Has this exceeded your expectations?
So it exceeded the publisher's expectation. We told them there was like some back and forth. Man, friction everywhere in my life.
Yeah.
I said,
Common theme.
you're going to need to print more books when they said how many they're going to print. And they're like, ah. So then they I think, doubled.
Okay.
And we've sold all the books they've printed.
Wow.
So they're currently like going to start kicking other authors to a later publish date so they can reprint my book. And when people start getting into these stories, it's going to continue like this for a while. I mean, it's the most wild series of true stories that have ever, I think, been compiled. It's ridiculous when you put it black and white in front of you.
Why did you do it now?
I started writing it a couple of years ago, and
what got you, taking that first step to start writing your life story, so to speak, is a big one, especially for you who has seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What got you to do that? What was the catalyst?
So my life story is a cracker. The caviar is kind of the message of what I'm trying to say in this, and I use the stories of my life to try to get across how important some of these moments are. Like you were there personally for some of them, like the importance of failure, the importance of struggle. Like there's lots of failure in my life. I fought for, you saw me fight Jacare and Luke Rockhold and Yoel Romero and Michael Bisping, and there's highs and lows there. And I wanted to do it right now, and my life being the cracker, but the important stuff on top is all the lessons that I learned. And we're in this era where, like we just did on social media, right? We put my filter on here, let me get a good angle so we look really great and I look popular, and it's all bullshit. It's everybody's curating and editorializing everything about their life, and it's all the stuff. It's pretty, but that's not the important stuff. Like the important stuff was me as a 10-year-old having to stand in the middle of the gymnasium when I just got pinned in my first wrestling match in a single elimination tournament, and having to stand there in front of everybody, my dad and my mom, as the guy next to me got his hand raised, and that was the end of my tournament. My dad's like, hey, do you want to go get some ice cream? I was like, no, Dad, like I just lost,
right.
You know? And had that loss not been part of my life, you wouldn't see me fight for championships. You wouldn't have seen me, headline UFC cards. You wouldn't have seen go to special forces. And all of those moments are missed in this current editorialized, curated experience that we're living here. We're like this echo chamber of all of our best moments. And it's so false and it's so dangerous.
So
that's why I wrote the book.
And it makes total sense, but you have seen some shit, right? I mean, you have seen some...
Literally and figuratively.
Yes. Uh-huh. Was there stuff that you felt you couldn't share?
So, obviously in whatever 350, 400 pages that book is, it does not have all of my life in there. And my very good friend, Nick Palmisciano, who was present, he was in my corner for a lot of my fights. He and I own a company together. He was one of my first sponsors. He very wisely handpicked which moments we're going to include. Mm-hmm. And then it sounds hypocritical as I'm talking about curating everything, but we picked moments that really tried to stay in line with this message of transparency, truthfulness, vulnerability. And there's some things that happen in war that out of context in black and white, nobody could ever understand. Mm-hmm. If I'm just putting it out there, like just war is so terrible. I was just in Afghanistan in fall, rescuing 10,000 people as part of several allies. If I said the things that happened there, like law is very gray when it's an emergency like that, and I'm not there for the military, I'm there as a civilian, part as a nonprofit, as an NGO, Save Our Allies. So being very specific in details of that, like I don't know what kind of laws we would get into in international law. Like I was just in Ukraine, and similarly, like how do you know which laws you're like, what international laws, what UN laws, what federal laws, as I'm trying to provide humanitarian aid to the front lines and save people in Ukraine. It's hard. Like that was like 3 weeks ago.
I know. So I know about all this, and I wanted to ask, so thank you for bringing it up. It blows my, I feel so irrelevant to the world when I'm like, what? Tim Kennedy was just in Ukraine two weeks ago? I know you helped rescue a journalist who got seriously hurt, who worked for Fox News.
Benji Hall. Man, they're going to make a movie of this, and it is going to blow your mind. When you watch the heroism that was on the ground, rescuing Benji Hall.
So what happened to him?
So he was a frontline, like war correspondent journalist for Fox right here in New York. Yeah. And he was targeted by Russia.
So he was over in Ukraine reporting?
He was over in Ukraine.
Okay.
And close to the front lines and just reporting on the ground. I mean, full press stuff. Yeah. Like this wasn't like, hey, that guy might be a spy or that might be a combatant. It was like press, right? And another dude with press. Yeah. The guy with him died. Damn. And actually most of the people in his vehicle died. And so when he got blown up, catastrophic wounds. I'm not going to get into them because his family.
Life-threatening?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
life-changing?
Permanently.
Oh, damn.
And his family hasn't seen him yet, so
they haven't.
No.
Why not?
So when we got him out,
wait, sorry. So I made you jump there. So this happens, and then how do you get involved?
So our phone rings, and Save Our Allies.
This is a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's an NGO, non-government organization, a truly 501c3 nonprofit.
And you founded it.
That's right. Yeah.
With
Chad Robichaux, Sarah Verardo, and Nick Palmisciano, co-author of this book.
Yes, former Ranger Up.
Yep, that's right.
OG.
Oh, yeah, super OG.
Yeah.
Were we that old?
Well, I feel like 40. I'm about to turn 40, so.
Okay.
Okay, so you get the call.
Yes.
The foundation gets the call.
Fox gets the call. Our guy is hurt. We need to get somebody to him right now. Is there anyone on the ground that can get him out? So somebody at Fox knows us. They called, and it was literally, do you have a phone on you?
Right here.
So like this is literally what happened because we use these secure communication methods. Yeah. We took like the Fox call, and on our guy in Ukraine on like a
oh my God,
we're like this.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're like talking.
Wow.
They're okay. Give me a grid coordinate. Okay, you don't have you got a lat long. Okay, this is who it is. Can you give me a description? And boom, we're off. So in a matter of minutes, they create this concept of this operation. And I can't get into like the details of. It's a Jason Bourne movie.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're there.
I'm still. I actually can't say where I am.
Got it.
Man, this is lame.
No, I mean, listen,
I was like
I
leaving like
respect it.
important stuff out.
I respect it. Why can't you say, by the way, for those that may be wondering?
So I wear a bunch of hats.
Got it.
And sometimes, so I was active and I was mobilized by the military.
Okay.
And I was on a mission for 6 months. And that's kind of, if you go back and you look through my social media for the past 6 months, you'd be like, this is odd.
Wow.
Because it's all me covering for me actually not being where I was for 6 months.
Wow.
And so that's where I was. And the ground team in Ukraine created this fantastical like thing out of the movies about how to secretly get to him, how to save his life, keep the blood in his body, we only have so much, and then like smuggle him out of Ukraine and then smuggle him into a military medical system. So he ended up getting like medical care as if he was a US soldier, which is the best in the world.
Yeah.
Having been at war for 20 years.
Which country, or can you not say?
I can't say.
Okay.
Yeah. But we went from Ukraine into a lily pad country, from that lily pad country into the first really trauma center where we started surgery, and then flew him to BAMC in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, that's where he is now.
That's where he is now.
Wow.
Saw him dancing just a few days ago.
So why can't his family see him?
He wanted to get through a few more surgeries.
Okay.
You know, he has young kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's traumatic.
Okay.
My dad got shot. He was an undercover police officer. I remember walking to the hospital room and just seeing this stoic 6'3" Olympic level athlete, you know, in the hospital bed, you know, with the IV bag, and I was maybe 6, maybe 8. And it was just like this isn't my dad.
Right.
Disbelief, denial, and my dad was, you know, like, it was like a bullet through his foot.
Right.
You know, like, man.
He survived.
My dad?
All good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were actually in Ukraine.
Yes, sir.
What is it like?
It's the stuff of horror, like a nightmare of like.
And where do you sleep when you're there?
Can I see a picture?
I would love to. I don't
I was
know.
on a cot.
Okay, but what is the building? Like, are you underground? Or
Who
like,
do you work for?
I'm just a guy asking
Just a
questions.
guy just asking
I'm just
questions.
fascinated by.
You're gonna waterboard me next?
No.
Do?
I mean, it's just incredible to be sitting in front of someone who was just there. How long ago?
So this picture was the 27th of May.
What? Yeah. That's 11 days ago.
There's my bed.
Wow. I wish the audience could see this as well.
It's just me sleeping on the ground. I mean, that's
yeah.
So that's
how long were you there for?
It's that's like what we carry people out with. It's like a litter, and we just like threw a sleeping bag down. And Ukraine's cold. Yeah, and cement is cold, and that warehouse is also cold.
So were you just there to save Mr. Benji Hall, or were you there to do other stuff? So
there's a problem in Ukraine, which is the Russians.
Yes.
The Russians, invaded the sovereign, beautiful nation. And this is wild. When you're in Kyiv, like a proper European city. I mean, I've fought all over the world.
Yeah.
North Africa, South America, the Middle East, you know, counter-poaching, counter-human trafficking, counter-terrorism. But it's always third world-ish. You know, like and it's weird to be in this beautiful metropolitan city with the same architect that designed Kyiv, designed buildings in Madrid. You know, and you're like, in Barcelona, like this, the same era and the same architect, and there's a tank in the middle, and there's concertina wire, and there's holes from landmines, and there's a boot with a foot in it.
Oh my God!
I have a picture of a boot with a foot in it. I was just like cleaning up, and I was like, "There's a foot in this boot."
Wow!
And in this beautiful European city, and that is the best of what's happening when you start getting to Mariupol, where it's rubble. There's not a building standing. You know, there's the level of humanitarian aid that's needed just to like save the people that are in this war-torn country. Like, I couldn't put a number on it. And the only way that we're gonna affect anything else happening besides Ukraine losing is like NATO interaction. Like, Russia's winning.
Now, Afghanistan, August of 2021.
We were just going to talk about terrible things.
I know, but I just want to know because, like, I don't think actually the MMA community knows or even appreciates that you are doing this. Like, you're kind of one of us, right? You strike for.
So.
Yes, I view you that way, and it's like, damn, Tim is out there, and I think too much we get into this whole. I don't want to make this into a political thing, like Republican. No, you're an American, and
I don't care about either of those things.
Good, and I'm happy.
I hate both these groups.
Yes. By the way, I just became an American citizen. So
What?
We're buds.
Oh, I knew this. I saw that.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you have a constitution in your pocket?
I do not, but I have this.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
That's close. I love this.
Yeah. Who calls you to do that? To go to Afghanistan last August?
Wild. So
And that was 10,000 people you got out or so?
we're at 17,000 people right now. We moved 12,000 people in 10 days.
That's insane.
Second
and you were
only,
there.
Yeah. Second only to the U.S. government. So U.S. government, if you took every single group on the planet that went there during the fall of Afghanistan and then multiplied it by 10, they didn't move what we moved.
Wow. And who's we?
4 of us on the ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we is your group?
Me. Yeah.
NGO, it's called?
It's Save Our Allies.
Save Our Allies.
Yep.
No, it's an NGO. Save Our Allies, yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, the stuff that Save Our Allies is doing still in Afghanistan, still in neighboring countries. We have safe houses where we have people that we rescued out of Afghanistan that are currently in safe houses until we get through as you know, the immigration process.
Yes.
Because I would rather, this sounds horrible, and I'm not trying to be calloused, but I would rather make or have left 10 people back than to bring 100 people back, 1,000 people back than to bring one wrong person in. So we were very cautious and very deliberate and very strategic in how we created our manifests and moved people out. And 17,000 people is a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there's like redundant levels of approval through the government, but some of those people are waiting for proper visas, whether it's like a special immigration visa,
right.
Like confirming, because the Taliban would destroy documents. So maybe it's a green card holder that's married to an American, but they no longer have their green card, so we have to be able to positively ID who they are.
Wow.
It's a big problem. So if you remember peak Afghanistan, C-17s taking off for the Hamid Karzai airport, and people are holding on to the landing gear. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
There's that image.
That was insane, yeah.
And as it's taking
they're
off,
like
people
falling
are just
off.
falling off to their death.
Yeah.
That's when we're on the ground.
Jeez.
And so the country of Afghanistan, the capital, Kabul, is situated in like the most worst strategic position on the planet. All the important strategic positions we had big military bases on. And I'm not throwing stones or condemning any, I'm just talking strategy. You don't give up strategic position before you get your people out. So we treated this like an embassy where we just fell back to our embassy and we're going to leave the embassy. Well, that's like a Department of State evacuation of embassy. And NEO, which is a non-combatant evacuation operation, that's conducted by the military. That's something that like I would do, where I would bring in special operations, I'd bring in the 82nd Airborne, I'd bring in the Marines, we'd create this exterior perimeter, right? And we keep these very strategic pieces, and then we get all the people out that we need to, and then we slowly collapse our perimeter until we take our last person off the ground. That's not what happened. You saw what happened, which was just chaos and mayhem. So my phone rings in mid-August, and it's my friend Chad Robichaux, the former professional fighter.
Yeah.
And he calls and he says he worked for special operations. He worked for some like really cool special missions units. And his translator, who he had gone on multiple deployments with, was a known American collaborator.
Okay.
He was a translator for the American military, and the Taliban knew who he was, and they had contacted him and said, we are going to find him, we are going to murder his family, like worse stuff than murder, but bad stuff, and then ultimately kill him last.
Yeah.
Then they kill one of his friends, and so it's like super real, clock is ticking. Aziz, that's his name, is on the run. So my friend Chad calls and says, can you help? The same moment, Nick, who wrote this book with me, he's sitting next to me, and Sarah Verardo calls him and says, hey, there's these few hundred Christian orphans that are all going to be murdered if we don't get them out. So like Nick's on the phone, And I'm like, who are you talking to? He's like, I'm talking to Sarah. I'm like, who are you talking to? I'm talking to Chad. What do you ask you to do? He asked me to go to Afghanistan. What did she ask you to do? Go to Afghanistan. Cool. All right, talk to you later. Hang up, book our flight, we fly to Afghanistan the next day.
Damn.
And
You could just book a flight to Afghanistan?
I'm kind of.
Okay.
It's complicated.
All right. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. United go there?
No, you pick up the bat phone, you're like,
Yes.
oh shit, there's a head on this guy.
That's
Did
fine.
you break this guy?
Yes. It was Daniel Cormier. I was very mad at him. It's okay.
I love Daniel Cormier.
A real American as well.
Yeah, I love this guy.
Wow. Okay, so you go over there. All good.
That was intense.
Yeah. So you go over there, and how long are you there for?
We operate 10 days. And the bomb at the Abbey Gate, where a bunch of Americans died, that night we were moved. I was literally like up to my waist in human crap as we're smuggling people down the sewer where they ultimately blow the bomb up. So we had an operation that went sour that morning, the morning of the bombing. We were trying to bring in this because we knew the time, like we were on the clock. Our opportunity, our operational window was shrinking, and we tried like one more Hail Mary. We moved all of these buses out into Kabul, and we moved a whole bunch of Americans, orphans, Jews, Christians onto these buses, and we're going to bring them all in this one big effort as like our last hurrah. And that went bad for a bunch of reasons. One of the most hardest things in the world is watching an American citizen be pushed back outside of a gate. And I have no idea what happened to these people. And so that was one trigger of us kind of losing operational effectiveness. And then when the bomb went off, the bases locked down. And so I think it was the 29th of August was when we started. That's when we knew our effectiveness is now limited.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, damn's right.
Do you ever get scared?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You get scared often, or is that rare?
Like just like everyone else.
You don't live a normal life.
Yeah, but like I'm human nonetheless. Like
You get nervous.
Yeah.
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 Not to the point where it affects
Like your office is hot. I'm hot.
Right.
You know? Like we're in front of lights.
Right.
Also hot.
Right.
My coffee's like physiologically I'm gonna respond the same way emotionally and psychologically as anybody else. I'm a human.
Right.
And I've been in extraordinary circumstances, but like thank God I've been surrounded by extraordinary people. And those people have really like helped.
Right. Ever scared to the point where you didn't do something? Meaning like, this one's too crazy for me?
No. There's lots of different ways to respond to fear. And fear and quitting, I think, are like the same type of psychoses.
Right.
And there's times where I was fighting and training, and I remember, I'm like running up the Hill of Tears with Greg Jackson. Have you heard about the Hill of Tears?
Yes.
It's pretty infamous.
Yes.
And I was like, and Greg's like, no, we're gonna do one more, but like throw John Jones on your back.
Yeah.
I was like,
Right.
I'm gonna fake an injury.
Right.
I'm gonna pull my hamstring. Like the quitter, like comes up and rears its ugly face. And I had like all these weird tricks where I would name my quitter. I've done this for a long time, and sometimes it was like the school bully. For a period of time, it was an ex that I just like loathed. And every time that quitter would come up, I'd be like, I know you, and I hate you. And I would just like shove that thing back down and keep going. And fear is kind of similar in that regards, where like as long as you acknowledge it and you've prepared for that moment, and the preparation and the discipline and the regimen is key. And if you have done all the right things, walking out to the octagon's a scary thing.
Right.
But then you see Carlos Condit, Cowboy Cerrone, just like moving with the music in the moment, they've prepared for it. And then the fear is inconsequential.
You have kids?
Oh yeah.
How many?
4.
4. You have a wife?
I do. She's badass.
Do they ever say, we don't want you to go?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that?
Man, that's like, You're just gonna keep lining up these like,
Yeah, I just want to. I mean, my daughter's like, I don't want you to go to Vegas for a fight, and that kills me. I can't imagine.
My son right now is in a motocross dirt bike camp.
Okay.
And
how old is he?
He's 7.
7. Jeez.
Bro, what do you think I make here? My kids are rad.
I could imagine. How old?
I have a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
7-year-old, and then I have 2 girls that are in college.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And all 4 of them are like crushing it.
Yeah.
My 2-year-old, you look at her and you're like, she's 6. She's a giant human.
Right.
And she like walks around with her chickens. Like she owns this place, and like the chicken like starts flamming. She's like, don't make me bite your head off.
Yeah.
The chicken like looks at her.
A real chicken.
Yeah, real like.
Okay. Yeah.
Chicken.
You live on a farm?
No, we just live in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. That's weird. New York.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we just got land. I have a motorcycle track in my backyard.
Wow. You live in Austin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather be with my son right now. And when I was talking to him this morning, he's like, "Hey, like, are you gonna come ride with me?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh." And the 2-year-old in the back, she's like, "Dada, are you gonna go swimming?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"No." And I'm gonna finish this book tour. I have to go back to Ukraine. There's things that we have to fix. Like,
when?
Here you go again.
Okay, sorry. These are the quick. Okay.
I know.
Soon.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Got it. Wow. So you do, and your wife, she has to deal with this.
I mean, she is a fierce, feminist, powerful, passionate woman. So deal with it is not the right word. She knows, she has been with me for a long time, and she knows that I would be a shell of a human if I don't do these things.
Right.
Like some people are put on the planet to do some things, and if I don't do it, like you're gonna break. I would break.
Do you keep up with MMA? Do you watch MMA?
Yeah.
Do you still? I know you. I've seen you train with Rory.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This one right here.
Yeah. Legend.
I'm about to corner him.
Fellow Canadian. You're gonna corner him. Nice.
Yeah.
In his next PFL fight.
Yep.
How did that happen? By the way, you guys link up.
He's a beautiful human.
Yeah.
He's a fierce competitor. He is a talented grappler, and you can't see because I have like my fox makeup, but I have a black eye right here, and it's from Satoshi or Rory. I'm not sure which.
Okay, so you're still training with these guys
10 times a week.
10 times a week.
Yeah.
And you're following the sport.
Austin is it is like the mecca of grappling.
Yeah.
Like
Danaher's there now.
Everyone's there now.
Yeah.
Sanjay Ribeiro's there. Victor Hugo's there. Margolelli's there.
Is this because of the pandemic, or was this happening before?
I mean, Joe Rogan and I are there.
Right.
And everybody else just followed us.
Yeah.
You're first.
All right. So you're still keeping up with the sport. Do you miss competing?
I do.
Do you want to compete?
I do.
Are you coming back?
Yeah, bare knuckle fights. Here I come.
Is that true?
No.
Oh, okay.
I know. I don't think I'm ever going to get hit in the head for money. I train as if I'm still fighting, and I mean, like 2 days, like I still get after.
No, I see. I mean, you're in tremendous shape, as expected.
It's a suit. You can't tell.
No, I
like,
see.
There's some implants, maybe some extra padding on the shoulders. No, there's not.
I mean, it looks like you could go.
I think I can, and then occasionally, like I'll go and do a round with Gordon Ryan, and then I was like,
yeah,
Gordon,
yeah,
just let me have a position for like 4 seconds. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Like one time, maybe like let me think I'm gonna get a sweep before you just eviscerate me, emasculate me, and humiliate me in front of this whole room.
So you never really, so you watch it, you get the itch, but you don't really, I mean, like, you don't have time, right?
I would have no, not for the fighting part. I'll probably grapple here in the super near future. I had a couple of like grappling matches that were on the horizon, but then Afghanistan happened, and I started preparing again, and then Ukraine happened, and then it just.
I'd love to talk to you about this. I've been really wanting to ask you about this.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm going to ask you?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I don't blame you if you don't listen to my stuff, watch my stuff, whatever, but I talk a lot about fighter pay. I talk a lot about fighters. I don't feel like fighters get what they're owed. This bothers me. The more I'm in the sport, the more it bothers me. The more I see how the sausage is made, the more it bothers me. The more I see how the fighters are, quite honestly, getting screwed left and right. No sponsors, no this, no that, no revenue sharing, no collective bar. It bothers me.
Should bother you.
And I think back to that day with you and TJ Dillashaw and Donald Cerrone and Cain Velasquez and George St. Pierre and Bjorn Rebney. And that felt like the best chance of change. And that thing, correct me if I'm wrong, died as fast as it's. I mean, like then what the hell happened to the MMAAA? What happened? Once and for all, this is the great mystery. Bjorn comes out of retirement out of nowhere.
Yep.
I remember Toronto was the next week. Cerrone was there. I remember talking to him.
Truth and transparency, that's the point of this book, right? So I'll just be totally freaking honest. We needed athletes to agree to be part of this association, this union.
Yeah.
And Dana White has such control on these athletes when I said, you have to sign that you're a part of this organization. And then collectively, we'll all go back together and address healthcare, like mental health, TBI, CTE, but we'll all do it together. But you, as an athlete, you had to have the courage to be like, this is my name, and I believe that this is the right thing to do, and I might miss a fight because of this. 5% of the athlete roster would do it. They all say they want to.
Yeah.
And we went to the major fight camps.
Yeah. You guys went.
Went.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to sign this. And it was like nothing besides, it's 2 paragraphs that I want to be part of this organization, and this organization will collectively go and address fighter issues. That's like what this document said. And there was such fear of the repercussions from the organization that nobody would do it. That's how it died. So the guys that you saw as the face of it, there was like those 7, and then there was about another 25. And then we had a roster of 500 that didn't. So my first fight in the UFC against Roger Gracie, in the lead up to that fight, I said, I should have just been a garbage man.
I remember.
I would have made more money.
Yeah.
Before that, before I walk out to the fight, before weigh-ins are complete, the ceremonial weigh-ins, the official weigh-ins, we're in the back. Dana White goes like, hey, all the fighters come in here. All the fighters come in, all the corners get out. Kicks all the corners out. It's like me, Hodger, Connor, Andrew Craig, Chris Lieben. It's a wild room. It's a great card. And he just starts tearing into me in front of all the athletes.
Wow, you specifically?
Me specifically. I'm not going to name any names here, Tim Kennedy, but if you guys want to make some fucking money, you're going to have to go out there and do it. You want to fucking get some real money? Go out there and knock the dude out. I want to see you wrestle some guy. I want to see you lay on top of some guy. Go out there and put on a performance. And like when he's talking about performance bonuses, which are also an insult.
Right.
Like that's it's like a drop of pathetic virtue signaling. And he sat there and castigated me for 15 minutes about even mentioning fighter pay. And I'm financially super successful out of fighting. I never needed to fight. I just wanted to be world champion. And to listen to this and know the effect that it had on all these other athletes. Then I go out and I did exactly what he told me not to do against Roger Gracie, which was like wrestle fuck him.
Right.
To put a big exclamation mark. It wasn't just to beat the best grappler in all of MMA, but it was also to let Dana White know
that was by design.
By design.
Wow.
Yeah. Not letting Hodger get my back.
Sure.
That's a bad plan for round 1.
Right.
But for the rest of the fight of just mauling on the ground against the cage, that was literally just for Dana to be like, you don't own me. You can scare all of them. And then, obviously we went and tried to get the association to happen. And
but could I ask, at that point, you are very accomplished, Green Beret. You have seen, like I said, some shit, right? To be in there and to have someone talk to you like that in front of your peers, how do you just sit there and allow that to happen? Meaning, I don't blame you for allowing it, but internally, there was got to be a part of you being like, dude, I've seen the worst of humanity. You're going to talk to me like this?
Yeah.
I'm a freaking American hero. You know what I mean?
That's kind of self-ejaculating.
No, but it's true.
Yeah, but that's not how my brain works. I'm like, hey, don't talk to me like this. You're talking to this guy all wrong. I'm the big guy here. There's
not a part of you that's like, how dare you?
No. He owns, it's his organization. It's his cage. We're there fighting as an employee of him, as a contractor. And so there's also what I think to be the high ground. It's a lonely road, but the high ground is to let him say his speech. It's his room. He's paid to be there. He's paying us to be there. And then I will go out and do what I'm allowed to do within the confines of the freedom that I have in that organization.
That said, I mean, you got opportunity, right? You had the Ultimate Fighter, this and that. Did you feel like that comment set the tone for your time in the UFC, or did you feel like they got over it over time and gave you a fair shake?
No, I think they gave me bad, hard matches every time. You know, stylistically, you can't look at my time there and be like, yeah, that's, if I was going to give Tim a fight, that's the easy fight. Every one of those fights is like, that's a tough match. I'm fine with that.
Was there any part of you that ever wanted to leave and just be like, let me, at that point Bellator was a thing, but it was, a lot fresher than it is.
I had already done this four times, right? Yeah. So like fought for WEC,
right,
and bought by the IFL,
right,
bought Strikeforce, bought, like, right. I mean, I could keep hopping lily pads, right, but ultimately, like, it felt that everywhere that I went, and when they bought Strikeforce, they also bought our contracts. So I was contractually obligated for an additional 2 fights. So
that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Your last fight was 6 years ago.
Was it 6 years ago?
Yeah. Well, in December will be 6 years, right? So
Man,
5.5.
Getting old.
It's crazy. And nothing has changed, right?
Nope.
The only
sport.
The only thing that has changed actually is the UFC is more popular.
The athletes are making less money comparatively.
Yeah, the TV contracts are bigger, the sponsors.
Everything's bigger.
Yeah.
Except for the fighter pay.
What do you make of this? How does this make you feel?
It is such an insult. It is so disingenuous to ask these guys to put not just they're putting like their health on the line for forever. You've been in the sport long enough to know athletes that they're broken. There are lots of athletes, their cognitive decline from how they performed in the ring, physically, orthopedically. I'm sure if you watched Mark or Dan Henderson try to walk around. Yeah. Even Jake Shields, he gets on the mat, he still moves, right? But then he comes out and, you're just like, bro, what has the sport done to you, and at what cost?
Right.
You look at the golf, this last golf, that guy just signed a $120 million one-year contract. He's getting $2 million every time he plays golf. The last place worst player on the court, or on the green, on the course. Yeah. What's the word for golf? Yeah. Is making $250,000. That's golf.
Right.
And these guys are growing out, and they're looking like this.
Yeah.
And it's such a tragedy, and I don't know how to solve that problem besides collective bargaining.
Do you see this changing in your lifetime? Because nothing has happened, right?
No.
You guys tried. There was one other group that tried. None of them get off the ground, and I feel like we are so far away. There have been so many times where I'm like, oh, this has got to be it.
Yeah.
This has got to be the moment. Nothing. It almost feels like we talk about it more than the fighters do. I know the fighters do quietly, but publicly, no one wants to speak about it. To your
point, out of fear of reprisal.
But you don't think it happens?
I mean, I pray that it does. They deserve that it does. Hearing the guys that leave the UFC and go fight for smaller organizations and are making way more money because of sponsors. I love Scott Coker. He treated me with such dignity, and he treated his athletes, like real martial artists. But he also understood the economics of making sure we could make a living. Still there wasn't medical, and still there wasn't a degree of retirement, But how many fights did Michael Bisping have?
Oh.
37, 30? Yeah. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
What's his retirement?
Yeah.
He doesn't have an eye? I saw what I did to him for 15 or 25 minutes, or however long I beat him to the ropes. But there's nothing for him afterwards. He has to go out and make it. And he's a great commentator. That's
his retirement.
That's another job.
No, I know, exactly. But that's, truth be told, that is dangled, right? Yeah. Because I know some guys who the TV job has been taken away. Yeah, no, I know, 100%. It's like you talk about the bonuses. I couldn't agree more with you about the bonuses. $50K is a drop in the bucket, and I know it will mean a lot to the fighter. That says a lot, but to them, it means nothing. The TV deal has never been bigger.
You had the best fight of the night, and you can't buy an electric car. That's how insulting it is. You can't buy your mom. An NFL guy goes out there, makes a moment, and he gets that NFL little bump. He goes and buys his mom a house.
Yeah.
An 18-year-old goes and gets signed, goes play football for 3 years, and he goes and plays for the inserts any football team, and he's buying his whole entire family houses. And then you have a UFC fighter who is, you know, like top 5 in the world, top 5, and he can barely make rent. You know, he's sleeping on a gym floor sometimes. He can't even do a proper fight camp. You know, agent takes a percentage, IRS takes a percentage, and no real sponsors because it's all controlled by the UFC. And that poor guy is just, that poor girl is just barely scraping by.
Fans get mad at me for talking about this so much, but I have so much respect for you guys that it breaks my heart. It honestly, at times,
shame on you fans. If you're like, you should, every single one of you should be talking about this.
Thank you for saying it, because you would be shocked at the comments being like, enough. Oh, I make 80K. That what you make has nothing to do with these men and women. They're risking.
Cool, let me kick you in the head.
Yeah.
You know, for like 8 months out of the year for that 80K.
Right.
You know, and then give your 20% to your agent, and then go 40% give to the IRS, and then make sure you pay for your gym fees, make sure you pay for your gear, make sure you try and get organic food. There's nothing left. There's nothing left.
My favorite is when a guy like Patty Pimblett makes 12 and 12, and he pretty much sold that card, and they're like, he made 24K for 2 minutes of work, and that just shows me the lack of appreciation for what you guys do, because it wasn't 2 minutes. It was months of preparation.
It was a lifetime.
Right.
Like, how long has he been a martial artist?
Right.
He started when he was like 6, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he's been doing this his whole entire life.
Right.
Like, when you're trying to learn how to ride a bike, he was out there being a martial artist. And so that 2 minutes was really like 20 I don't know how old he is when he's not fat. How does he do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not a good thing.
No, I keep the six pack like year round because like if I get that belly, it's never going to go away.
Right. And yeah, you are older. I want to ask you about something. I read this.
Did you say you are old?
You are older, at least 15 years older. Scars and Stripes is the book. It is out. You said what? Top what right now?
Dude, we're like top. I think we're 3 in all of books right now.
Incredible. There's the.
There it is.
There
That's
it is, right there.
With a black eye.
This is in the blurb, so this tells you something. Can I read this? And I just want to make sure factually that this is correct. He is also the same man who got kicked out of the police department, fire department, and as an EMT before getting 2 women pregnant 4 days apart, and finally been beaten up by his special forces colleagues for quite simply being a selfish asshole, quote unquote.
Yep,
that's all.
Yep. Oh, there is a part missing there where the 2 women were pregnant. I thought I had AIDS.
Jesus.
So
who are the 2 women?
Two amazing moms. I have two daughters that are in college that are superheroes. Amazing moms. Like, this was pre my wife. This was like peak fighting era. I think
4 days apart.
The girl. So I made the babies 4 days apart.
Okay.
The girls ended up being about 3 weeks apart.
God, how did you handle that?
That was a mess. Not with grace. Definitely not.
Did they know about each other?
Oh yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That might be dicier than being in Afghanistan with the poop up to your chest.
No doubt.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a moment where I'm standing in Morro Bay, California. It's in the Central Coast, about 15 minutes away from where Chuck Liddell and McGee, Glover Teixeira, current light heavyweight champion, fighting this weekend.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Old training partner. I was with him when he was a purple belt.
Wow.
Dude, he was good then.
An OG who's still kicking
so
it.
hard.
Yeah.
Man. Standing on the coast, on the beach, taking all my clothes off, taking my pager,
Yeah.
dropping it down on top of my clothes, putting my keys on top of those because I don't think I'd ever need them again, and just start swimming due west in the Pacific Ocean into the fog. And
That was it?
I didn't know. No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Okay.
Like, I needed a baptism. I needed a baptism. The water on the Central Coast is maybe 53, 54 degrees.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Are the kids born?
Girls are pregnant.
Okay.
Think I have AIDS.
Why do you think you have AIDS?
Had a soiree after a fight with a bunch of ring girls, and one of the ring girls walked into slow kickboxing, which was like the parent gym to the pit back in the day.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, I'm trying to find these people that were like here this night, and I think one of the guys fought. Yeah, oh no's right. I was like, hey, that was me. Hey, what's going on? And she's like, were you there that night? And that kind of stung a little bit because I was like, man, I thought I left a pretty good impression, Apparently I didn't. That stung. And she's like, so I'm trying to find my partners because I tested positive for HIV.
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God is right.
And the 2 girls are pregnant.
And then 2 girls are pregnant.
And so you're just going in the water and saying...
Swimming, man. I just need to get my mind right. And I just started swimming. And we're a swimmer family. Dad, Olympic level athlete. brother a monster in the water. So we grew up as kind of like fierce swimmers. My punishment would be like treading water with 5-gallon bucket of they used to stick on top of one of the water dispensers, and just like letting that water, as we're treading water with whatever that is, 30 pounds over our head. So I'm swimming. I probably have like a 25, 28 minute open mile swim time. I've been out there about an hour, so that's maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles. I'm just like straight out from the coast in the middle of fog now. Morro Rock, which should have been slightly to the south of me, off to my left, I can't see. The coast, which you should be able to hear, the waves crashing, can't hear. There's a foghorn at the end of the breakers that's on the south side, west-south side of Morro Rock. That goes, can't hear that. Can't hear anything. The fog is doing weird things. It's refracting light, and I'm fairly certain I'm going to die. Like, I'm just treading water in this freezing cold water. I've been out there an hour, and I have no idea which way to swim now. And I hear like splashes, like, was that a rock? Was that a shark? And I'm still like, this is all in the book in Scars and Stripes. Like this is early in the book, and this is not the lowest moment of my life. This is just a low moment.
Wow.
And I'm treading water, hypothermia, treading water, and I hear this like, as this boat comes up, a Coast Guard boat.
Wow.
A woman, an old woman, saw me walk into the water and swim naked. And she went and called. And the boat started going and just like moving through this fog so slowly, with this captain with his legs hanging over the front of the boat, just dangling. And they put it in neutral. He hollers for them to stop, and he like just cruises up next to me. I'm sitting there treading water, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And even in this moment, in my arrogance, like, what a piece of shit. I'm like, I'm swimming. No shit.
Yeah.
Why are you swimming? Let's get to the why of the matter. So I'll give him like this brief executive summary, this like aggregate of everything that's happening in my life right now. The patriarch of my family, my grandpa, is dying of emphysema. Every breath he takes is a little bit less than the prior breath. My VTR 250, my motorcycle, I just crashed. I had these 2 women pregnant. I had very shortly lost my professional debut against Scott Hands of Steel Smith.
Wow.
And who I just fought a few weeks before that and beaten. And I walked in there like an arrogant prick, thinking that I was going to do the exact same thing. And he blasted me with a cross and cut me open, and the doctor stopped it. So it was like a pretty bad moment. And he's like, I was going to offer you to get on this boat, but man, I'd just stay in the water if I was you.
Wow.
Like, so that sucked, right?
Yeah.
So I'm treading water, and I was like, yeah, this water's cold though. He like leans over. I see that.
Yeah. Oh my God, this guy's.
This is brutal, right?
Yeah.
So he like looks me dead in the eyes, and he's like, I'm gonna treat your life a little more respect than you have, and I'm gonna offer you at one time. Do you want to get out of the water? And nobody's gonna offer this again.
Right.
This is your one chance. And I was like, I would like that. So he throws down this like net off the side of this boat. And my hands were so frozen. They're so cold from this water. Like I could barely grab. I was like hooking,
Wow.
trying to climb up this Navy like hard rope. And he hands me this all wool Navy Coast Guard blanket. Have you seen them?
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah. Of course.
roughest
Yes.
material ever. And it felt like 1,000,000 fire hot steel needles.
It's like
were
steel wool almost, right? Yeah.
Like stabbing me in my frozen shoulders. And it was like the best feeling ever, because I was alive.
Right.
Like the pain was like there. And that was the beginning of me starting to figure out what I needed to do to not be such a piece of shit.
Wow. That was the turning point.
No, 9/11 was the turning point.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was when you decided to go to the military.
Yeah. I was at the recruiters on 9/11. And
If 9/11 doesn't happen, do you think this life doesn't happen for you?
oh, I'm dying of AIDS or I'm in prison.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So in a way, 9/11 changed the course of your life.
I mean, it changed millions of people's lives, right? Like,
but almost for you, it was like for the better in the horrible way of saying it. But like you were on a path to nowhere.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back and change anything.
Yeah.
If I could die of AIDS or like spend the rest of my eternity in prison for 9/11 not to happen, I would happily exchange those things.
Of course.
But, have you seen the picture of the falling man?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a famous photograph of this guy that just looks like
Horrible.
He's weightless and timeless and motionless as he's descending down the side of the World Trade Center and jumping to his death because he decided not to burn alive. Like that, I watched that. So many of those people just jump and jump and jump. And every single one of them that jumped, it was just like this knife, and I had to do something. And I was at such a low point because all of this was happening at the same time that was kind of the beginning of me recognizing that I'm the biggest waste of life ever. And I don't know if I'm trying to compensate still, like why save our allies? Like the mission is so much more important than I am. Like I'm pouring myself into it. You know, like I started my own private school called Apogee, you know, an online mentorship program for young men called Apogee Strong. Like all of these are like you do this Venn diagram and you go back to like the core issue of this broken young man. All of these things touch that.
Wow. You mentioned that wasn't the lowest point. What was the lowest point?
So that's in the book too.
Okay. I don't want you to give away everything, so if you don't want to say it. I mean, I feel like, how can you not listen to this or watch this and say, I want to read this book? So you're doing a great job of
doing though. Like I'm going to come on your podcast, but I'm not going to actually talk or tell
listen,
stories.
I get that.
That's
you're
weird.
trying to sell
Who would
books.
do that?
You're trying to sell books.
Don't have those people on there.
Okay, fair
You know,
enough.
I haven't been on here for 7 years.
That was the last time?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, when you retired, I think you were on. The day, you posted that great thing on Facebook. And
a great thing where my face was all lumped up.
Well, no, it was a very heartfelt message. Actually, you mentioned that Nick was in the hospital with you. I remember that.
Right next to me.
Yeah, so I believe but that's 6 years ago. So it's been a minute.
Yeah. Lowest point is, are you familiar with like Spartan battle tactics?
Yeah.
So
I mean, from afar.
If you think like the gates of fire.
Okay.
You have the phalanx, right, which is like the shield wall, and you have this wall of shields, or the Vikings. They all kind of have similar approaches. The shield wall behind them, they have guys with spears that are like reaching out and like attacking the waves of people, and you have guys with swords that are directly behind the wall that are like the wall will open for a second, you'll like slash and hack, wall will close, then they'll move forward. Well, the bodies that they step over aren't always dead right away, right? They're like chopped or they're like gutted, right? But they're still dangerous. Like just because your intestines are hanging out doesn't mean you're not capable of stabbing somebody in the back. So behind that wall, you have plungers. And a plunger is a guy with this weighted spear that just goes chunk and just keeps chunking as he moves forward behind the wall. And he's also able to go in and step up to the wall if somebody in the wall gets hurt, pick up a shield and take that point. In Afghanistan, we get blown up in this Uruzgan province as we're trying to escort this group into Firebase Anaconda.
What year is this?
This is 2008.
Okay.
Peak war Afghanistan. And this is part of ended up being like a 3-day gunfight as a whole bunch of my friends get killed. And, we have medevac after medevac. And we have AC-130s, which are like these big, huge gunships that fly up in the air that are fire support. And they're sitting there shooting so many bad guys. They get on the radio and they're like, we have run out of ammo. Like we have to fly back and get more ammo because we have no more ammo, which is pretty rare. Have you ever heard of the term broken arrow in the military? So if a unit, Colonel Custer, he's surrounded by the Indians.
Okay.
And this is kind of where it comes from. Had there been support and he could have picked up the radio and said, broken arrow, and all support would have been given to him. Had it not been given to him, everyone there would have died.
Right.
Did any support come for him? No. They got surrounded and killed.
Right.
So when a unit calls broken arrow, that means that if every single asset, air asset, ground asset, isn't dedicated to this group, everybody on the ground is going to die.
Wow.
We're in the middle of that.
Wow.
This is like me running out of ammo and I'm looking at dead bodies trying to figure out who I can crawl to pick up rounds.
Right.
So this goes on for about a day and a half, and night falls on a day and a half later, and there are 400 foreign fighters, mostly from Iran, that had come to support the Taliban and to prevent the Special Operations Unit to getting to Firebase Anaconda and the resupply that we were escorting in. And I position myself at the base of one of these vehicles, an RG that has an advanced thermal system called a CROWS system. And it has this thermal imager that you can see body temperature. And I have night vision with a laser on my sniper rifle. And this system starts calling azimuths of where they see a body that is not cold.
Wow.
And I have to be the plunger all night long.
Gee.
You know, like it's night vision, and night vision is not as cool as it seems, especially when you're shooting something that's like 200 meters away in darkness. You have this like IR laser that you can use from the Crow system to like point where it is. So like they'd find one, they'd throw the laser on it, you know, and then I'd set up and because we're saving the automatic grenade launcher rounds instead of being like, tunk, like we needed those the next day, like badly. So laying there all night long and being a plunger, it is a soulless act that every time you pull that trigger, it's just like a bit of your soul is dying. And it's just war. It's the worst thing. Screw people that have to make these wars.
I've never been sadder that the hour is up because I have like a million different questions to ask you, but we are out of time. This has been so much, I mean, I don't want to say fun because we're talking about some heavy duty stuff.
Heavy stuff.
But can I say, like, this is a very, I don't know, it's an inappropriate thing for me to say, and it's also could be viewed as like insulting and condescending, but I'll say it anyways. Like, I am proud to know you, you know? I'm very proud to know you.
I like your voice. Don't forget that you have like the First Amendment, welcome to the United States as a new citizen. That is that thing in front of you. That is a powerful tool.
Right.
Powerful tool for good or bad.
But you are an incredible human being. You are an inspiration, and I would urge everyone to get the book Scars and Stripes. It's going to be #1 by the end of the day. I guarantee it.
Yes,
Damn
please.
It. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you for doing this. And let's not make it 6 years before the next one.
I'm not going
I have
nowhere.
a lot more questions. And by the way, maybe we can dust off the MM.
I'm in.
Yeah?
You know, I'll help. I'll throw money at it. I'll do anything.
Well, I don't
can to
mean
help.
me personally. I mean like
Us.
Yeah,
No, man,
well,
that's the thing.
I'm a media
it takes
guy.
a little bit of brave and courage.
Sure, but is it inappropriate? It's inappropriate. I'm not the guy.
We need a face. We need a voice.
Sure.
We need.
What happened to Bjorn? Where'd he go?
Yeah, he's not there.
Okay,
We have to.
Mexico?
I mean, you've taken a peek behind the curtain, so you know some of the shenanigans that happen behind the.
Oh my God, we could do a whole hour just on that, right?
Sir.
Well, tremendous work.
Thank you.
Congrats on the book. I wish you the best. Please stay safe.
I will. No, I will.
Stay safe.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to talking again. Tim Kennedy, Joe's going to walk you out here, my man
Nice.
Joe. We just keep it rolling here on the program. Thanks so much for stopping
Thank
by.
you.
Thank you, Tim. All the best. Scars and Stripes is the book. An incredible piece of work. It's out right now. It's #3, as he said. Holy, wow. I mean, have you ever felt less adequate than right here and now? Just a real inspiration